Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Red Room. This is Heather Carlisle. And tonight, um, my email announcement said that I'll be talking about whatever you want me to talk about, which means I'll answer whatever questions or engage in a conversation with you for what's on the top of your questioning, your concerns.
I
Yes?
But the volume is not right.
It isn't?
No, so do go into settings
Okay. Thank you,
and
honey.
put the microphone. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
it's very soft.
And it's not coming up there.
Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, it's very soft. Okay, so sorry everybody. Let me just
Thank you, honey.
go here. Something got moved here. Sound input level. Look how low that is.
Oh, I see.
I don't know
Okay.
how that happened.
Huh.
Let's put there.
Well, I didn't even know that was there, so.
I know. I'm not blaming you.
I know you're not.
So look at that.
Oh, look at that. Wow, we're really
right, so
hot
we
now.
got too much now. Let me go back to where we were.
Okay. So you can
Okay, it was
pull
way
that
down. I'm going to put this in the middle.
Okay. And now you can see this over here, right?
Right. And now you're under by the B. That looks normal.
Okay, good.
So say something excitedly.
Okay, excitedly. This is Heather Carlisle, and you're tuning into the Red Room, and Jack is fine-tuning my audio, as he always does, because he's very picky about that, as you all may know. So, tonight is the Red Room, and it's grab bag. Whatever it is that you would like me to talk about, I'm here to answer questions, engage you in conversation, have discussion, whatever it is. So it's like tonight is carte blanche or a joker. It's whatever you would like to chat about tonight. And until you log in, Jack said that you probably can't see my typing. But at any rate, I am saying welcome to the Red Room. One of my favorite places to be with you all. And so until you chime in with the topics that you're interested in and with questions or comments for our conversation, I thought I would introduce you to my newest publication, my newest study guide. Here it is. And I wrote it specifically for my colleagues, and it is called The Passion Locator for Professionals, because it's not, how do I say, a book for that's completely self-evident. It has lots of exercises in it, and some of them you may not have enough mentoring unless you get mentoring from somebody like me, which I'm doing right now. So the Passion Locator is one of the things that I use with different ages, different ways. For example, I'll use a passion locator with a teenager so that if they aren't involved in multiple levels with life and their time and their interests are too narrow, we want to expand that. Because if I work with a high school student, and I'm working with one right now, I want to make sure that they're not only achieving in their schoolwork, but that they're getting along with their parents, they're having a good time at home, they have friends with whom they spend quality time, they have extracurricular activities. And kind of my view is that teenagers, most of us really, need at least two what I call extracurricular activities, because that works for kids in high school and middle school too. Something that keeps you moving and active, and typically that means some kind of a sport or dance or gymnastics, something like that, or cheerleading. And something that is creative, imaginative, whether that's the debate team or the yearbook staff, or something that's creative like being in band, or taking private music lessons or private painting lessons, something that gets your creative, imaginative energy going that's not just about your schoolwork. And sometimes that means it within the school, such as being in theater, or sometimes it's outside of the school, such as taking private acting lessons with somebody in your community. So that's how I use the passion locator with teenagers, because there's something missing, or they become too hyper focused, or they're depressed, and helping them find things that are true to them, that are high quality. That's how I would use the passion locator with a teenager. So if anyone wants to chime in and ask me a question, engage me in any topic tonight, I'm happy to hear from you. And until then, I'm going to continue to talk about my new book, The Passion Locator. So I'll use that with high school students, college students, moms, people who have been too much in the business world, empty nesters, people who want to start over in a career, people who are in retirement, all these shifts in life that come for different reasons at different times, and in different times in different ways for each one of us, depending on how our life has unfolded or how we have chosen to live our lives. That sometimes we want to locate our passion for our work life, where we've ended up in a job where maybe it's no longer fulfilling. Maybe we just got there because it was a job, but we really don't like what we do. Or it's a job that we like, but the people we work with are not positive influences in life. And so then to look at, well, what do I really want? And sometimes, and it's not uncommon, for people to say, help me, I don't know what I want. So this is a part of my Rewriting Your Future work, where we have a certain subset of things that we know about, things that we know that we like, and yet we have that question, and I came to that question myself when I was in my late 30s and turned 40, and knew that I needed more, knew that I wanted more, but didn't know what it was. I knew that I was good at various things and I loved doing them, but I didn't know how to visualize that or strategize it in terms of making it a job or a career or something that I was studying to prepare for a career. And of course, as my life now shows you, over 20 years ago, I figured out that it was psychology. And I couldn't tell you in the beginning what part of psychology it was that was going to be my point focus, because it was pretty broad. And that works in those ways with lots of people, where they have one interest, but they're not exactly sure in that interest, well, what job does that mean? How do I find a place to use this talent? Where is it that it's going to be useful, not just as an avocation, but as a profession where I can earn a living doing it? And that's a wonderful creative process, especially since we live in North America, because North America, most places, you can locate somewhere in your community where that talent, that skill, that passion is needed and is paid for. So that's the wonder of living in North America. I know it's not true for everyone in the world, but we are fortunate that way. And so I consider this, the passion locator, part of learning mental agility, knowing how to use our mind. Because if we know how to use our mind, we're in touch with ourselves, we know what we love, we know what we're passionate about. And we have therefore the mental direction for planning, strategic thinking, goal setting, in order to take ourselves in the direction of what we really care about, what we want, what our passions are. So here's a quote from me from my passion locator. It says, knowing your desires, longings, and personal passions is necessary for you to choose your goals and to design a lifestyle which suits you for happiness and work. I really believe that, and I live that. And so this study guide or handbook helps you walk yourself through those ideas. And one of the fun things about my passion locator is the brainstorming section. And the brainstorming section is many pages of interests. So it's a long, long list of things that people like. And when you go through that list, my preference is you go through it, check them off, and then get it in the downloaded version so that you can delete all the ones that you don't care about and end up with your own short list that you've brainstormed, and then begin to find the clusters in that list. In other words, finding certain things that may not in the beginning on the list be connected, but they may end up being clusters, and those clusters show us then a whole area of life that's special to you. And I was talking with one of our local Starbucks baristas today. She is a dear, and as I'm sharing this with you tonight about a passion locator, it reminds me about Marty. And Marty is one of those women who loves sewing. And she's got a cluster there that marks her and therefore marks her relationships and her lifestyle. She loves family, and obviously she's very creative and imaginative and energetic. And one of the ways that she loves family is she associates family with gifts and sewing and personalized things. So she makes teddy bears and personalizes them. She makes blankets. She makes quilts. And she said to me that every once in a while somebody mentions to her, well, gee whiz, you should make this your profession. You could earn money doing this. And she says, no, that's not why she does it. That's not her passion nor her interest. Her passion is that she does this because it's her love of family, her love of giving gifts, her love of being the woman that provides these feminine experiences and influences in the lives of her children and grandchildren, friends. So there's a beautiful cluster that's come together for her, where Marty has a cluster around her creativity with fabrics and sewing and her love of family and her kind of giving ritual gifts of that can be inheritances. So that's one of Marty's clusters, and isn't it a lovely one? And I'm wondering, as I'm describing this, if you're thinking about some of your passions, like this one over here and this one over here, and how they connect and how they form a cluster of something that's always going to be important to you and may shift in terms of how you express it or live it. You know, some people have a great passion for automobiles. Sometimes in general, sometimes very specifically. One of my nieces, Janet, who still lives in my hometown in Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan, Janet, I think it's partly due to my brother, who he maintains his own, or used to. He's retired, but he still has his favorite truck that he drives. He had his own trucking company, and it was a kind of I think something that he loved to do, but also a form of his own honor, that he maintained his own trucks. He knows trucks so well that he knows how to maintain these huge rigs. And of course, he didn't do it by himself. He had people working for him. But you can imagine the oldest daughter born to a guy like that. She's probably going to like automobiles. And anyone who tunes in anytime, ask me whatever question you like on whatever topic you like. That's free and open. It's one of the reasons I chose to talk about the passion locator tonight, because everybody has their own line or system of passions. But my niece Janet, she's a rare young woman. She loves trucks. She loves automobiles, but she specifically loves trucks. And, saves up for her. I know the last one that she had before the one she has now, she called her Rumblebee, and was specially painted, ordered. She and her husband, with their friends, go on adventures in the wilderness with creeks and rivers and mud holes on their four-wheelers. And so she has her, her overall outfit with her rubber boots. And she just, if you see pictures of her, she just absolutely glowing with joy in her muddy overalls on her four-wheeler. And so this is one of her clusters, of course, you see, where she loves her four-wheeler. She also loves her jet ski. She also loves the truck that she drives. And guess what she does as a profession? She works for a dealership. And so she's worked her way up. She's worked in every department of the dealership. She loves automobiles. She knows how to do the financing. She knows how to run the office. She knows how to be a salesperson. Janet has a huge and probably lifetime passion for automobiles. Very different from Marty's lifetime cluster passion of sewing for her family. So I'm wondering if, as I talk, if you're putting together what your clusters of passions or interests might be. There are different categories, and sometimes something from one category will relate to something from another category. So let me share with you the categories that are in my passion locator. And as I'm thinking here, I know that a couple of weeks ago someone had problems typing in questions, and I hope that's not happening tonight. If you do, would you please email Jack, and he will see if there's something getting in the way of you typing me questions. And Jack's email is helpnow, HELPNOW, at musicbakery.com. I can type it in here, but I don't know if you're seeing my typing as well. But it's help now at music. Okay. Okay. So, if you're having problems, oh, good. Somebody chimed in. Good, good, good. So somebody is able to get through. So let me see. And I'm going to look off here because that's where I see the typing from the chat. So let's see what we've got. Heather, I have a lot of interests, but I have trouble deciding when I can find the time to do them. Yeah, there you go. So that means lifestyle design, dear. And of course, there isn't time for all of them in all the stages of our life, which means we need to be discerning and pick and choose what's going to be most enriching now. So for example, if you have little kids, if you have a passion for doing something that takes you away from home for long periods of time, if you can't take your children with you, then that's probably not a good choice. And so it just depends on the circumstances of your life, what's going to fit well. Since Jack and I have a home together and the kids are grown, we have a lot more latitude in terms of the things that we love to do. Like last night, we just decided to up and go downtown South Dallas, and we went to two different venues and listened to two different jazz groups. It was awesome. So If you have little kids at home, you're probably not going to do that and it won't fit in. So give me some clues. Me too. So, dear ones, give me some clues as to what it is that, where you can't find the time. What is it that, I mean, your time is limited. You probably have it full of things that are really important. And that means that there's something in there that really isn't a passion or isn't a joy and doesn't deserve your attention. And there is time maybe when you could be using it in a higher quality way. So let's see what we got here. I don't seem to even have the time to sit down and think about it. I know I should. Well, then that's probably some form of self-sabotage, right? If you don't have the time to sit down and think about it, then you're doing something else. And if you want to do something that you like, then there must be something in there, some of the something else's that are for somebody else and not you. Is that true? Sometimes there are different parts of us that are really important different times of life. So one of the things that happens, especially with women, is that you're devoted to doing your work, you're devoted to your marriage and doing things with your husband, you're devoted to your kids, and then by that time, maybe you're devoted to doing something for a nonprofit, and then all the time is gone, and where are you? That's not uncommon. Then sometimes, I'll never forget a woman that I was mentoring, and she was talking about how she didn't have a whole lot of things that she did after work, but what we found out is that she had a relative that called her 5 nights a week and did nothing but what I called verbal diarrhea, which means just complaining and whining and gossiping for 1, 2, 3 hours on the phone. And this woman just sat there and took it. She, quote unquote, didn't want to hurt her family members' feelings. While she was pouring her life down the drain with all this negative gossip. So that was the thing that she needed to change. And I mentored her how to do that and to limit those phone calls and pretty much get them completely out of her life and to get her time back for herself and for quality things. So let's see what we got here. You mentioned joy. Right. There are a lot of things that I don't particularly enjoy, but are necessary. Like the rest of us. Right. I am devoted to a lot of areas, just like you described. Good. Which is good. That's a responsible person with a sense of devotion and commitment. And some things that we don't particularly enjoy are necessary. And I remember when I was in my 30s, I realized that there were a lot of things that I had to do that I wasn't interested in and that there was no choice. And at that point I was starting to do what I've mentioned before, is that mental yoga, where you decide that you're not going to think negatively about anything, and little by little by little replace all your negative thoughts with positive thoughts, which means I had to figure out what I needed to do internally to make doing the laundry something that wasn't a grim chore. I had to change something in my attitude and in my self-talk and in how I thought about doing laundry, because it's not going away, is it? Let's see what the comment is here. Here's someone else. I took a time management course several years ago. Bravo. Thinking back, I probably should take the time to page through my life as it is now. Oh, very good. Thanks, Heather. You always get me thinking. Yay! As you say that, I'm just trying to think if I've got it sitting here somewhere. I think I do. Yeah, it's right here. No, this is not it. It's over here. And I thought I'd share this with you. Just around the other side of my desk. Recently, I did that for myself, and Jack and I have decided it's our 10th anniversary this year. We're going to get a hotel room in Fort Worth, just across the way from Dallas, and we're going to spend a long weekend just talking about and thinking about our goals and our life and how we want to structure that going forward. So here's it's kind of fat. What I did was I pulled out all the goals that I'd set, and I've written them down because, you know, I teach rewriting your future. I better be setting my own goals, right? So I printed them out since I had been typing them on my computer since about 1996, 1997, and printed them all out and filled a binder with them. And then I began to go through them. I kind of did this for Valentine's Day for us, and looked at what I had written down as a 1-year goal, 3-year goal, 5-year goal, 10-year goal. And that's how I've done it over the years. And I was really pretty proud because most of those goals I had achieved, and some of them obviated. You know, a lot of them, I'm different now. I wasn't married to Jack then, so my goals changed. Because of being married to him and united with him, some of those things have now become more focused or clarified. Some of them are no longer a priority to me. But it's wonderful to look at your goals and to re-examine and say, okay, I am a different person now, and what is it that's a priority for me today? So nothing's going to happen at a very high quality if we don't plan it, and if we don't therefore have the time and the resources to actually bring it into our lives rather than just thinking about it or hoping or wishing or dreaming. So some of you know that I took 5 days off just to think and look at my life in January, and it was interesting to me what bubbled to the surface in that about the things that are passions for me and meaningful for me. I am a very creative person in certain very practical ways. I want to make things and do things. And I realized that my studio, which is right across the hall there, was antiquated in the sense that I had things in all those wonderful drawers, nicely organized, but I hadn't looked at them. I had one drawer, I had one big wonderful flat file drawer, which is for art and paintings and such. One of those drawers was full of my souvenirs from our wedding 10 years ago. And I thought, all I've been doing is just putting things in that drawer for storage. And that drawer needs to be alive. So I realized that I needed to create my studio, recreate it, clean it out, store things, put them in the garage, get a new filing cabinet drawer available, things like that, because my space had become, in a sense, dead or stopped, or the life had been cut off because the materials in those drawers were no longer moving. They were no longer a part of my creativity and my life. So that was something I never would have thought of if I hadn't taken those 5 days off, to just think from afar and look at my life and what I've been doing with my life. And I'm about 80% done with that. It's been quite a formidable journey, taking out all those things and organizing them, because they're treasures, of course, but they have nothing to do with my life today and what I want to be doing in the next years. So that helped me start looking at my passions and what I have time now to do. So, of course, one of those drawers now is full of all the fabrics for the quilt that I'm working on for our new grandson, Rocky. and I can hardly wait to get the time set aside to work on Rocky's quilt. And I've done various things on that, and it's in process. So think about your passions and how they fit into your home as well as in your time. Rocky's quilt has come up to the top of the list because Rocky's here. I wouldn't have been doing this if he hadn't arrived. And so the circumstances in our lives are going to change what we want to spend our time on. So I'm just wondering, those of you who have been viewing and participating tonight and talking about how you have a little bit of time available, and I'm wondering, has this inspired you to think about the places in your home that, or your life, which don't support that aliveness of your passions? Like my example of, are your storage places, is your furniture, are the places in your home or your office, quote unquote, dead, where there are things or pieces of information stored there that really aren't going to be used or are not regularly used, and you need to free that space up for something that's really interesting to you today. And I like to think of it when I clean out a filing drawer, that there's space in there now for me to be more creative, where I can put more stuff in there, where I can more easily find the stuff, and the stuff that's in there is active and part of my creative process and my values today. So just think about that, your actual physical environment, as well as your time. And sometimes your physical environment tells you how you spend your time and how you've lost the time that you want for what's precious. It's interesting how your checkbook or your Quicken or your bank account shows how you've been spending your passion, where the money goes. And is that money going for the things that are really your passions, or are they old spending habits? Or are they unconscious spending habits, where your money isn't available for the things that are now priority in your life? Of course, it's like the time as well, when you're busy doing all kinds of things that really are your priority today, and you don't want to change that, and yet you do need the time maybe to get up earlier, to just be quiet and sit and write or meditate or pray, or just be noodling around with your personal things. Sometimes the only way that fits into your day is that you get up a little earlier before everybody else and just have that peace and quiet. Maybe you make yourself a cup of coffee or tea before the sun comes up, before people rise, and that may be the only way you're going to get it. I was talking with someone recently who is so, there's a term called swarmed, or flooded by the people all around her, whether it's her husband or his kids and her kids, her employers or the people who hire her, or their friends or their activities. And sometimes the only time that somebody can take just a minute or 5 minutes for peace and quiet without anybody disturbing them is in the cubicle in the bathroom. And if that's the place, I'm saying make that a quiet little spot where you can just breathe and relax and think through big picture. It's kind of a utilitarian thing, but once you think about doing that, then you're going to take that little time somewhere else in a much more pleasant place, right? Okay, let's see here. Interesting relationship. Storage space and free time. Isn't it? And I got that from my personal experience and that insight about getting away. Swamped, yes, swamped, swarmed, and um, deluged, flooded with too much. I need both storage space and free time. And if you get some of one, you're going to get some of the other as well. And sometimes we need free time away from everything. And I think that there are people who have that in place beautifully. And I bet you know somebody who loves gardening, or somebody who has a tradition for jogging or going for walks, not with somebody, by themselves, or bicycling. I know it was really cool that later in life, my dad said he rebuilt his own little airplane, one of those tail draggers, and that's where he got his peace. Was when he was stressed, he'd take his little tail dragger up, and he would just be in the clouds and just fly by himself, just to chill. I loved that. It was kind of an idealized image I think I had, and grateful that Dad did that, because he worked himself literally to death sometimes, or into exhaustion. So then the free time part, I want to ask you honestly to look at how you spend your time. And so often we allow, they have that term that they call loose boundaries, where we allow either ourselves, and I know I do this sometimes, I will take too much time in a session with my clients because I'm so enthusiastic and passionate about the piece of work that we're doing. And sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes I give too much. And for various reasons, I give too much of myself away, I give too much of my time away, or I give too much where they're already kind of flooded with the work that we've done, and I need to be more sensitive to say, let's tie a ribbon on that piece. So, and then I rob myself of time as well as rob them of time. So I'm not always that bad, but every once in a while I'll need to remind myself to be more precise with my time in that way. Also, we're sometimes driven by wanting to please people, or wanting to protect people, or wanting to get just one more thing done, where we feel like we've got to be productive. Sometimes we just don't want to do anything and shut down and just go to sleep or just daydream. And then our quality time, because sometimes if you just shut down and sleep and daydream, that's not really meditation. It's not really high quality, it's not quote unquote mental yoga. It's just wasting your time. And some people do that too. So it depends on what it is that is your particular quote unquote time waster. Some people are kind of under the surface grouchy and defensive and controlling, and they're saying, get off me, don't tell me what to do, and negative attitude. And then with that negative controlling attitude, they push things away and say no to things and hold on to the negative attitude. And that's a time waster right there. It's an energy waster as well. So what is it, do you think, that you need to give up? Because if we're going to get quality of life, we've got to let go of some things, or refine some things, or make them more efficient and effective. And efficiency is a virtue. Precision is a virtue. So when we had the virtue of efficiency and precision, then it was like my description of cleaning out the spaces in my storage and in my rooms, so that I can be precise and efficient with the usage of what I have to use. what's personally mine, what I have responsibility for. So I'm just wondering, as you're thinking through that you have all these interests and not enough time, what is it that eats up your time? What is it that you need to let go of, that you need to delegate, that you need to just shift in another direction? This discussion of how we get our passions into our lives, even though we know what our passions are, it's not a simple thing, is it? So let's see, we've got another comment here. FYI, and most appropriately, I just received a phone call from someone I didn't want to talk to. And I stayed too long on the phone with this person. So, Heather, you are so right on. Now, that particular thing about staying on the phone too long with that person says to me that person is not the leader. That person is not the conductor of the phone call. That person doesn't have a sense of ending and beginning and fairness and respect for time. Sounds yucky, yeah. Sounds yucky. Indeed it does. And so when we encounter people like that who don't manage themselves and who are unfair with or low quality with how they use their time in conversing with others, I've gotten very sensitive to that. And probably because my profession as a therapist is interaction, conversations, listening. And I find that I don't have much patience for people who just want to waste my time talking about irrelevant things. So, if somebody wants to start talking to me about laundry detergent, I immediately move the conversation in another direction. If somebody starts gossiping about something or somebody, I immediately move the conversation in another direction. Or I politely end the conversation, say, the way you do it is what I've taught before and is part of effective communication, and that's using cushion statements or the sandwich no. And I'm wondering how many of you know about the sandwich no? The sandwich no means you sandwich the no in something that's pleasant. And when it has to do with people who don't manage their conversation time or subjects, that means that it's left up to us to be in leadership. It's left up to us to manage the conversation, which is the good news and the bad news, right? Because then I get to manage the conversation and choose the subject and the length of the conversation. I get to be the artist, the sculptor of that conversation, because the other person, for various reasons, is probably not conscious that the conversation needs to be sculpted, right? And that's one of the reasons why I talk about verbal diarrhea. Somebody that just it's going and going and going, and it, whatever the content is, they're not very discerning or aware about. So the sandwich no, I would love for one of you to give me an example of a conversation like you just said, where you stayed on the phone too long with the person and you didn't want to talk to this person. So of course, number one, at this point, I just wouldn't answer the phone. And if they really have something they want to convey to me, they leave a message. Then I listen to the message and I find out what the quality is and what the urgency is. And then I make a decision as to when I'm going to call back and what I'm going to do when I do call back. And sometimes you can set it up when you make the call back or when you answer the phone to be efficient and precise right from the beginning, where you say, "Oh, I'm so glad you called. I only have a minute." See that? I only have 2 minutes. But I really wanted to talk with you about this. So if you set it up right in the beginning, they know that you're going to pull out sooner than you might ordinarily do. So give me an example that I can use to talk about the sandwich no, or that I can use to help you extricate yourself from a conversation that's low quality or useless or negative, because that's then allowing them to use your time and their time for something that's inappropriate or wasteful. Then you don't have your extra time to use for the things that are important to you. Every once in a while, I know I make this mistake. Not very often anymore, but I'll be in conversation with somebody, or I'll be doing something and my phone rings and I answer it. And then it's one of those conversations where this is not a quality conversation and I need to stop it and get out of it. And I wish that I hadn't answered my phone and I just left it so that they could leave me a voicemail message. But, you know, sometimes you don't know who's calling and you want to take care of it. So, I'm going to just improvise here. You said, I stayed too long on the phone with this person, and you didn't want to talk to them. So, how you stop the conversation. Let's see, say, okay, as an example, the call I received tonight. I know I should have stopped the conversation much sooner. Yes. And that means that you need to have the skill of interrupting and ending. And you may already have that skill and you just need to use it, or you may need to think it through and say, oh yeah, this is how I can make it happen. Oh yeah, this is how it will work. And with this particular person, I know exactly what to do. And you don't ever want to lie. You don't want to use, you know, it's like, oh, the kids are in the bathtub and I have, no, you want to be honest. You know, first of all, we don't want to lie, and we don't want to hear our kids lying. We don't want our kids to answer the phone and say, "Oh, mom isn't here." Well, that's not fair. So you want to tell the truth, and you want to tell the truth gracefully and respectfully. So if you answered the phone call while you were listening to the Red Room, that would be a perfect way to interrupt it, where you're saying, oh, I'm so, now notice, the sandwich no is you say something positive, something that says the no, and then something positive again. So the first positive thing, generically say, oh, hi Louise, I'm so glad you called. Something positive, right? Welcoming. So glad you called. And I only have a few minutes to talk because actually I'm watching a program right now that's time limited. So if it's quick, I'd like to hear it. But if it isn't quick, could I call you back tomorrow? So there you go. Something positive. Thanks for calling. And I'm doing something right now that's time limited. And then something positive saying, I want to talk to you. Can I call you tomorrow? So let's see here. It feels difficult for me to hang up. Yes, it was during your show tonight, which means if you're enjoying the show and you're interacting with me, it's important to you. It's high quality, which means I wouldn't answer the phone if I were you, unless it was, you know, something that might be important. So you would say, hi Louise, glad you called. I'm right in the middle of something that I can't stop. And so I can't chat with you right now, but I'd love to chat with you tomorrow. Or would you call me back and leave me a voicemail message on it? Thanks a lot. Talk to you later. Bye. Boom. I didn't even give her time to talk to me, right? And sometimes I'll do that, even with people that I want to hear from. And think about how good it feels when somebody you know and love calls and tells you the truth like that, saying, you know, I've got to get this piece of information across. I don't have hardly any time. I really want to talk to you, but this is going to happen tomorrow night. Can you come? No? Okay, good. I'll have to go now. Thanks a lot. Bye. So just boom, boom, boom. And when somebody calls me and treats me that way, I know I can trust them. I know that they understand that I'm not going to have hurt feelings, that I respect their time and what they need to do, and that it's fine for them to just pop in and pop out. So that person I can trust. And most of the time you can trust me. I'm pretty good with that. Every once in a while, I'll be tired or, so won't have the energy to disrupt a phone call that really needs to be sculpted or ended. Does that give you some new ways of thinking about how to sculpt this phone call that probably takes too much of your time, intelligence, and energy? I like your phrase, just pop in and pop out. Yeah. Just like on the freeway, you pop on, you pop off. So if you set it up that way, and if you set it up also with your tone of voice and the speed of your speech, say, oh, hi, I'm so glad you called. I'm right in the middle of something. Can I call you back tomorrow? Or if there's something that you really need to convey to me, I have to hang up, but would you call me back? I won't answer, and you just leave me a voicemail. Thanks so much. Talk to you later. Bye. So notice I took complete charge of that phone conversation. I was quick. I told them what I was going to do. I told them what I wanted them to do, and I really didn't give them any leeway in terms of what they could do in this phone conversation. So that's the highest level of control, where popped in, was pleasant, ended it, told them to leave me a voicemail. If you've got more time and you want to have a discussion, but you don't want to get off onto, whether or not you want to buy tennis shoes or running shoes. It's like, I don't care about that. So then think about how you would use the sandwich no in that circumstance. Good point about your suggestion on speed of speech. What about chat? Chat? Do you mean chat in terms of typing chat, or wanting to chat with someone and just kind of catch up? And when you want to have a chat, a conversation with somebody and catch up, then there are two things there that I think are good tools for you to sculpt the conversation. First of all, what's a waste of your time. Using chat versus voice. Chat. Well, chat's easier to get out of. And to be fair, chat's a waste of time. I can convey way more in 30 seconds back and forth on a phone call, voicemail, than it takes to type and to chat back and forth. So I don't recommend chat ever. And, if somebody pops up I'm on Facebook and somebody pops up on chat and it's somebody that I love, I'll do that because it's kind of fun. But if it's somebody whom I love and I want to have a real conversation with them, I'll say, oh, thanks for saying hi or whatever. I'm going to hang up and I'm going to give you a phone call. If it's somebody that I don't want to chat with, then I can always, in the chat, abbreviate it. I can respond courteously and with kindness, and then I can say thanks, gotta go now, bye, and then log off. They don't need to know why you gotta go. But chat is a waste of time as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what you think. And I know some of the kids, sometimes they've got more than one chat going on, which is kind of, that hanging out, which makes my blood run cold. It doesn't go anywhere positive. It's usually just gossip, and it's usually just people amusing themselves with low quality. So, a waste of time, really? Yeah. Let's see here. Speed is built in. Ever? I would think you would prefer chat because it doesn't require saying, gotta go now. Yeah, chat does. Gotta go now. Bye. A waste of time? Really? Yeah, because it takes so much time to communicate on chat. I talk a lot faster than I type. There are people who do speak much more slowly, and maybe chat's fine, but it takes time to go back and forth for the computer to register, and you don't hear the tone of voice. You can only convey so much with a sense of speed. So that's just my preference. I think it's inefficient, and it's not full communication, obviously. So I typically don't want to chat with anybody unless it's something specific and utilitarian. And if it's for business, I'll give them specific information. But if something really needs to be communicated, I want to do it in a conversation because it's deeper, richer, more creative, and it's faster. So that may not be true for everybody. That's just how I see it. And again, we're talking about our passions and using our time efficiently and effectively. So think about how much more caring you can express in a 30-second phone call versus typing back and forth on chat, because those are just words. It's fun, and if you like to do that, cool. But I'd rather be communicating in a more in a higher quality manner. Yes, it is less accurate, has no tone of voice, as you say, but isn't it a time saver because you don't get caught in a conversation? Well, I don't get caught in conversations unless I want to. And when I need to go, I say I need to go, and I thank the person for the phone call and end it. I sculpt it. I don't let it just go on and on and on. I decide what needs to happen, and if it isn't, and that person is wasting my time and telling me things that I'm not interested in or a bunch of gossip, I just sculpt it. I end it, and I do it with love and kindness. So it makes me think about a conversation I got caught in at one point, and it was at a funeral. So this person I didn't know. This person wanted to get this close to me to talk with me, which is completely ignorant of personal space and treating me like a lady. I ended up taking, one of those little party plates. I ended up taking the party plate and putting it between us and pushing it away from myself so that I could get him out of my personal space. And so I sculpted that interaction and very quickly brought that conversation to a halt and went somewhere else. So, sculpt. I love that, Heather. Thank you. Yeah, it's an art form. You sculpt your time, you sculpt your words, and the conversation is a piece of itself because it has a beginning and an ending. Party plate, funny, yeah. It was funny, but it was really yucky too, So that yucky conversation, I had no qualms about putting the plate in front of me and ending that conversation and going somewhere else. And, I know how to do that because I've thought about it. I've been around a long time. I know how to end a conversation with graciousness and then move on to something else. Yep, some people do like chat. I prefer closer interaction, unless it's somebody that it's a professional thing, and then I definitely don't want to chat. I want to get something done, which means I want a phone call to get something delineated and completed. Because some of us waste too much time in low quality conversations. Some people are habituated. That's all the conversations that they have. And I guess I think I'm spoiled because so many of my conversations are with clients at a professional level, and they're always meaningful, or I make sure they're meaningful. And then in my personal life, my friends are so interesting and such precious souls, such dear people, that it's always fascinating having conversations with them. And, as time goes on, you weed out the people you spend time with. The people who are always negative, you're not going to spend any more time with them. You're going to move over here and spend time with the people who are laughing and creative and funny and successful and positive. So if I've got time to spend personally with people, I'm going to decide who it is that I'm going to spend that time with. That it's not just going to kind of come and go freely. I want excellence, and so I choose that. And that's the same thing with how you choose your time, dears. Us in the beginning, oh my gosh, can you believe an hour has passed? It's on the nose of 9 o'clock. I can't believe this. Anyway, I started talking about my passion locator and putting our passions, the things that we love, into our lives. And you engaged me in a conversation about, yes, you know your passions, and yet there's not enough time. And so we've talked about how we can waste that time with activities or with people. We can also sculpt our conversations, our personal space, our storage space, how we spend our time through the day, through the week, and decide which parts of that time do we spend with high quality interaction with other people, and which parts do we need to carve out for contemplation, for quiet, for internal meaning. And I was giving you the example of my goal setting and how meaningful that is for me, and you don't do it without taking time. And I wanted to just show you this right here. This is one of my passion posters. So I'm just going to hold it so that you can kind of see it. So this is one of my passion posters, and I have another one now. But that's a way where I keep my passions in front of me. It's a way of visual goal setting and reminding us of these are the things that we want in our lives. And other things can be let go, pushed aside, replaced, like that. Any final comments from you? Thank you so much for engaging me in conversation tonight. I find this very meaningful, and it's so fun to hear your thoughts and the things that you want, things that are important to you. I really love this. Thank you for tuning in and being my fans and my partners in conversation. Any last thoughts or questions before I sign off from the Red Room tonight? You guys are great. So if you want my little instructions on how to do a passion poster, there it is. It's in the passion locator. And you can purchase my passion locator if you want to use it for yourself as well. So I'll leave you with this idea. Are you connected with your burning desires? What is it that you have a burning desire for? Thanks, Heather. Ditto. Oh, you're so welcome, dear hearts. Right now, my burning desire is I have a burning desire to teach the good things that I've learned, the good things that I know which work well for people. I have a burning desire to teach that to more and more people, and exponentially more people over the next few years. So that's what's driving me, and that's what drives me to the Red Room every week. And thank you for tuning in and sharing this time with me and making it meaningful at another level, because I have you live here in conversation. Thank you so much, dears, for tuning in tonight. And I will see you same time, same place in the Red Room next Wednesday night. And I'm going to tune out now and stop my recording and wish you a good night.